October 7th, 2021, time index 10:50 in the morning. It's on a Thursday, Greenwich, Western California. This letter is going to be addressed over to Professor J and Professor T. What's going on, guys? Professor T was talking about how technology has changed over the past 30 years. There was never enough time to talk to the professor about my own college experiences. We both came up in different eras where technology was still budding when it comes down for computers and how to research it. I have to tell you something, that I had a hell of a learning curve. Back in the 30s, I was one of those young-eyed, bright-eyed, didn't know his, well, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it, didn't know his ass from a hot rock. Scared to death, and coming out of high school, and not sure what to do during it. I really didn't understand the college system that well. There was a college program, prep program in high school that I did. SWAS, school within a school. It was supposed to give kids an edge over the ones coming out of the regular mainstream educational system of the Los Angeles Unified School District. By giving them an edge regarding how to study like a college student, it was supposed to advance the students. And me, unfortunately, I was one of those students that needed the, according to the theory of both teachers and parents, I needed the whip on my back. I was so damn bright, it bored the hell out of me, but math, no, I could try getting into math. Algebra, forget it, it's logical, it's linear, it follows a straight line, I'm bored as hell. Put me in front of a book and I'm enchanted and I'm gone and you'll never see me again. Of course, I could be sitting right in front of you reading a book and I'm not there. I'm inside the book, I'm inside the adventure, I'm inside the storyline. That was me. I hid from anything and everybody. Give me a book and that was my excuse. That was my escape. No wonder I had favorite authors out there I could get into. Asimov, Roddenberry, Clark, Terry Brooks. Those guys are my heroes. And I stayed in those authors. I stayed in the mindset, but I couldn't get myself wrapping around the educational system of the regular mainstream and then put me through the college system. I took the SWAS for about 2 years. And quite frankly, did so poorly in it that my mother decided to pull me out of it. I had to redo the entire 11th grade all over again. You talk about embarrassment to the family and to everybody else. Try redoing your grade all over again. But, you know, it happens. It happens to students. Instead of graduating at 17 or 18 years old, I graduated out of high school nearly 19 years. Oh my God. I was already an adult, going through 12th grade. Didn't matter. I was still in the system. And the technology we had was the portable computers coming out, the Atari 800, actually the Atari 600s, the Apple IIBs, the Commodore VIC 20s, the Commodore 64, the Commodore 128. Not to mention the computer games we had during that time. So that was my life. But I was also dealing with personal issues at home, being a caregiver. Caregiver to a point, and grandma dies, and then I'm still dealing with my mother and my brother, dealing with his own psychological issues. Oh yeah. But getting into this college system, I had to earn my way through it. Not go through the grants. Tank, by the way, pretty good too. Mix it in with a little orange Gatorade, you'll never know the difference. So, the technological system we had over there was the manual and electronic typewriter with the white tape and the whiteout to make erasers. Not to mention the green books or the blue books, depending on which particular colors they were using during that time. They still had them back then too. Ancient technology, isn't that wonderful? But I never heard about the MLA system during that time. What they had taught me was using references in the back of the essays to refer it, but not specific techniques that they're using in this day and age, or in the higher collegiate system, not in the higher academia. We're still using high school grammar techniques trying to get through to them. And I got tested, and I thought I did pretty well in English. No, I didn't. Bottom basics, again. So I spent one college year trying to get through 2 English courses to get to English 101 before I can get to the higher educational system of the English language. And what did I take right after English 101? English literature. I don't want to deal with American literature or anything else for that matter. I just did the English literature because I thought it was something different. But during that time, I was struggling with the essays I was writing in the other classes. Government class, not to mention history classes. Humanities, what they called them then, not Western civilization, but humanities. We struggled. There was hardly ever computer terminals that I could get to. We had the hardcover books, softcover books. We had bookstores that actually had both kinds of books. Paper! Paper. Now, you guys never remembered something like this in ancient technology, correct? So imagine having this particular person tossed out on his ass in the collegiate system because he couldn't keep up the grades. Then has to go into the world of the working, where he needed some of the skills necessary to do some of the jobs. And the problem is there was no way in hell for me to get those kind of skills in the first place, and how to plug into a damn computer terminal and how to use the damn thing. Like in word processing, like in spreadsheet, like you're using a call center system, or billing and coding. You had to go to classes for that. You had to go to specialty courses for them. So my 30 years of working my butt off in different areas, using computer terminals regarding cashiering, customer service, data processing, accounting. Yeah, I'm the jack of all trades without any college degrees at this point over here. I went through a business course, business college, that defunct, crashed and burned right after the 94 earthquake. Took all the money and screwed everybody else at the same damn time. But at least I learned some computer skills and some bad office skills in there too. So I couldn't say anything about that. I went to an occupational training center right across the street from Pierce College. And I was grateful for that because I did medical terminology, I did medical transcription, and billing and coding certificates. They came in handy during those times. And working at a temp job for call center work, I worked on more and more networks, mainframes. Screw the reports, I'm plugging in data, so I'm a data processor at this point over here. I'm a research assistant. I'm a call care agent doing your troubleshooting at the same damn time. What reports? The students, if they actually were back then what we have right now, Would they be able to deal with it? Probably. Probably. But just because I can deal with a work environment back there, I come into the collegiate almost well over 30 years. And you know what I discovered? I just came out of high school and doesn't know my ass from a hot rock. Mid-40s, doesn't know his ass from a hot rock. It was close to 50 anyway. About 48, 49. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, I did graduate out of high school in 85. And in 87, I had to work full time. So I got back in the collegiate 30 years after that. So do the math on that one. It's using more of the brain skills. Scary. The first class I get was critical thinking in literature. I was surprised how many students in there did not know how to write an essay. The computer system at the time over at Antelope Valley College, where I started my current collegiate career, was supposed to weed out and make sure that the students who understand the basics of English 101 were supposed to be able to write effectively as if they know English 101. I was going back through the English basics when I was getting out of high school. So when I get into the computer terminal and I'm looking at some of the stuff in there, I'm like, it's child's play. I passed the damn thing. I said, okay, fine, I'm English 101. So now I know what the hell I'm doing. I go into English critical thinking literature at the time. And you know what I discovered? I don't know jack shit about MLA or APA or APL for that matter. How to do works cited, how to do the references all over the place. They changed the rules. Or it was the rules for higher education that they somehow put into the lower educational bracket, which is the community college area, which we are in right now. And I didn't know anything of it. I knew how to write a sentence. I knew how to write a thesis. How to get my conclusions going. I even knew how to do the body of the work. But the finer techniques, the finer forms of it, that's the thing that got to me. And I had to learn that from scratch in one particular college course. Damn, I flunked it. Not because of the writing technique. I'm still working on that. No, it's trying to interpret what the professor wanted in the first place. When I found out what she wanted, it wasn't exactly what she kept asking for. Despite how many times I kept asking in different formats and in different essays being handed to her of the same assignment, trying to get her to let me know what you're looking for. And what took me apart is when she finally said something about it. I'm like, why did I take this class in the first place? I got discouraged. The assignment we had was dealing with Mary Shelley. Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. Frankenstein. Okay, Frankenstein. And Isaac Asimov's and his robots. The problem is, she focused more on the interpretations of the reboots as the original material. And comparing that to Asimov's original works. She had a doctorate. She's supposed to know. She fell in love with the material that she had seen the other reboots and thought they were originals. Despite the fact I had to go back to the original work to show it to her. That's what happens when you need to have better communications between professors and the students at this point over here, because situations will happen and Miscommunications can really screw things over one way or another. Oh, I got the full credit for it. I got the D out of it thing. I still need to redo the whole thing because of my own self-satisfaction. At least I know what I'm doing. I know I'm a writer. I know deep down inside. It's not knowing, it's doing the work. It's writing the essays. It's doing, crossing the I's, dotting the T's. Putting a question mark in front of an exclamation point. And think that's going to be a period. Yes, I'm talking facetiously at that point. But I also worked on stories. Learned in life, everything is a story. You just have to dig. There's a story in anything and everything. There's a story about cell phones. There's a story about flash drives. There's a story about an eraser mate. How does all those three work? Write a story. The essays that Professor T is calling us students to do is to use those kind of analogies right there. How do you combine three different aspects into an essay? A lot of students had an issue about this one 30, 40 years ago. And to this day, they're still having an issue with it. Some of them are pretty smart enough to figure it out, to find key points, because they are getting context and perspective in their own time to make the leap. The materials that we've used and the discussions I've seen, we're talking about authoritativism. The one thing I didn't talk about in our class situations, myself, is the snake in the Garden of Eden. Well, in the chat log, Professor T, that they put in the shadow. Cue up the theme for the shadow at this point. The weed of politics bears bitter produce. Politics has no weed killers, the weaver knows. Substitute politics for crime. Two words substitute. Just two words being substituted. Politics is a thing created by man. Politics is what students these days are getting more and more exposed to, because they're seeing it happen in front of them. In this day and age that we're dealing with, the current generation in our classrooms, they're dealing with after 9/11. They hadn't seen or experienced the world that we had, Professor T and Professor J. We had seen it. The old guard have seen it. And now we must pour out our heart and soul into literary forms, into literary terms, using the various techniques being presented to us as demonstrations. We must make and prove the case of whatever our thesis is about. And the ugly thing is, it's still in there, and it might be mentioned, it may not be mentioned, but it's still politics. Professor, both of you, if you've ever taken Political Science 101, have you ever kept up with it? I had taken government years ago. I had seen government things work. I had seen forms of government work. I had seen committees and subcommittees trying to talk about our behavior, our way of life, and everything else going along with it. And in using in that kind of context and seeing the materials that we've been using back then and now, whenever there is humanity trying to get an edge over the other person, the evil of politics. No wonder they're focused on the authoritative issues at this point. At least I know some students I've come across in my travels and my classes. Because politics is something that you can never get rid of. It is something that we discuss and don't discuss at the same time. I thought I might give a little clarification of where I'm coming from. Yes, at times, Professor J, I was wacky in your class because you made the atmosphere not enjoyable. Mr. Professor T is a learned scholar, and I'm learning a lot more than what I have. But I'm also looking at the material and comparing it to today's time and space and what we're dealing with. No wonder the Bible had it right. Those increase knowledge, increase sorrow. I just wonder how much sorrow, or if you're into that kind of belief, that our Supreme Creator, however you look at him or view him, if you do, but I do, how much sorrow has he in his heart and compassion for us lowly humans still struggling and trying to deal and cope with each other's ideas and idealisms. How much social media has affected us in our current generation. If we actually did have social media generations ago, thousands of years ago, I don't think it would have changed much. God's honest truth, I don't think it would have changed much. I may have to put some of these into writing, because some of this seems like it's going to be coming down on a piece of paper pretty shortly. And I just needed to get this off my chest. Tuesday, Professor, the essay will be there. And no, I'm not going to be doing that Mandalorian expression right there. I have said it. No, it's just what I told you about the horse chomping at the bits, trying to get out of the damn barn because he wants to run. There's a time to run, there's a time to stir up the energy, and then there's a time to let it fly. I had to pull on the reins just a little bit so I could get a little bit more perspective and context. I had to vent this stuff out just to get his energy out. I don't know. There's a song that comes to mind. Fly like an eagle, and I'm free. That shows you, Professor T, we're definitely dating. How could it be just here? I'll see you Tuesday.